Everybody, thank you all for joining us tonight. You have been an amazing audience. We are so grateful to have all of you here tonight. I want to give a shout out to some amazing people that helped bring this together. Certainly Randy James Management, Harper Collins, and I also want to thank the local businesses, Preston Flour, for the amazing iced teas and charcuterie. Laura Nawaya is here. She's our local food star. I want to thank Black Cat Fables. They are selling copies of this book. Please buy it. It's awesome. We've been reading it. We're addicted to this at the Azusa City Library.
The book just went on New York Times bestseller list. You're the first to know, except for millions of people on Instagram. But other than that, you're the first live audience to know that, and without people like you, this wouldn't have happened. So thank you so much.
And I also want to thank another fantastic local business, Fadi's Flowers, for the arrangement you see. They designed it for Jennie. They were also very thrilled to know that we are welcoming Jennie Garth here today. And I also want to thank all of our city stars. We've got the Chief of Police, Azusa PD, Code Enforcement, library staff. Everyone is extremely excited. We have our council member, Robert Gonzalez, another local star, our city clerk, and we've got library commissioners. Thank you all. You're an amazing group of people. Thank you. So tonight, why we are all here and why library staff has been just super excited the last couple of months, we're here to welcome actress, author, and television icon Jennie Garth. So you all know her from her role in Beverly Hills 90210. And now Jennie is sharing a more personal side of her story. In her new book, I Choose Me, Chasing Joy, Finding Purpose, and Embracing Reinvention on the New York Times bestseller list. How could you not read this book? It's fabulous. And then also facilitating the discussion tonight is former Azusa City Librarian, Dennis Sullivan. So without further ado, if you could all please give them both a warm welcome. Thank you so much. That made me feel really good. Thank you for that warm welcome. I'm so happy to be here in Azusa.
All right, well, welcome. This is great. You know, we're very thankful that Jennie was able to join us. So again, you know, good evening. Thank you again for everyone for being here. It's, you know, without the public coming to, you know, author events, library programs. I mean, this is what we do it for. This is what we're all about the community. Like we said, everybody, all the vendors are all community focused, and that was very special when I was talking to Colton and Clarina, Jennie's team. It was very important to make sure we give it back to the community. So we're really excited to welcome Jennie Garth here tonight at Azusa. All right. So, Jennie, thank you so much again for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this is great. So we're going to start simple. First question is, what does I Choose You, I Choose Me mean to you today?
Well, I know y'all are fans of the show, so maybe you remember season 5, episode 30. If not, I will remind you. That is the moment when Kelly Taylor was asked to choose between Brandon and Dylan. They stood in front of her and expected her to choose one of them. But instead, in that moment, she said, I choose me. And yeah, I did not understand exactly how important that those 3 words were at that time. I didn't understand it. Now as an adult, it means a lot more to me as I've gone through the ups and downs of life, and I know the importance of actually choosing myself in situations, what an impact it has had on my life. And I really have to thank people just like you who I've met on the road that have told me, wow, when I was 15, 16, whenever they were watching it, I didn't know that I could choose myself. Amen. Until Kelly said that. Amen. Yeah, and so that really started me thinking about how important those 3 words still are to us. And I just thought that is going to become my mission, my passion, to sort of elevate those words and remind everybody that we can choose ourselves. It's not selfish, it's actually really, really important to our self-care.
That's interesting, it's a great answer, and when you think back on it, it's like all those years ago, and like that resonated with you, and that stuck with you, so that's incredible. And you know, I can say, I think for so many people here who have watched you for years, you know, looking back at your time and your role as Kelly Taylor, how did that role shape who you are today?
I had no idea what I was doing. I was brand new to acting at that time. I think I had a couple of previous jobs before that, and then this happened. None of us knew that the show would be as big as it was around the world, and nobody was prepared for our lives to change to that degree. So we were all, you know, in it together and really relied on one another through those times. But it has changed my life. I mean, when you think about it, like when you go back to your young adulthood, I was only 16 or 17, but I was an adult at that time for so many reasons. But when you think about your young adult choices that you make in life, you know, if you kind of go back and revisit those choices that you made earlier in life, or, you know, over the course of your years here, you see the impact differently when you are older, like your perspective changes. And so I look back on 90210 with just pure gratitude, pure love. I had never watched the show until, because I was busy making it, and they made us work like 16 or 18 hours a day, and it was bananas. But I had never watched the show until I started doing a podcast rewatch for the show, and I was like all of a sudden I was like, I'm a super fan of the show. I love it so much. It's so good. It's like, and even though it's, you know, 30 whatever years old, it still stands up. Like I still get sucked into the characters and the fashion and the cars. Like the decade of the 90s was so incredible, and like to have it like, just forever, you know, on film like that is such a gift. And I had my first daughter on the set of 90210, and so that just changed my life completely. And you know, here I am. I'm still talking about 90210, not because I don't have anything else to talk about, but because I want to. So.
That's great. You know, it's something that resonated with me. You just said right there. It's like, I always looked at my mother, and she would never eat dinner with us. She would always, you know, eat dinner maybe like an hour or two, you know, later. And I would say, you know, why don't you do that? Because she's like, I just cooked a meal. I don't want to eat it. So you made the show. You want to watch it. You're too busy doing it, right?
Yeah.
And I never knew that until I started cooking my food. You know, especially cooking for the family. You're like, I don't want to eat that lasagna. You know, but whatever.
It's similar.
It's totally similar. We're on the same page, Jennie, Garth. All right, so.
He's so cute.
Did anybody feel that? I usually say that to you. And then just ready to show my wife and we'll see. I'm cute. Jennie Garth thinks I'm cute. She's good at that. Say it again. So, you know, that's such a unique experience. I mean, just like having your child, doing childbirth, as you're filming the show. I mean, now I'm thinking about it. It's weird in the sense where I'm just like, I just view you guys as like high school students. It's like you were doing all this adult stuff, It's like But anyway, but growing up in front of millions of people, right? So that's an ultimate unique experience that most of us are never going to experience, right? But was there a point where you realized you needed to separate yourself from that character?
Well, when the show finished in 2000, I did take a beat because that was the first time in my life where I didn't have somebody telling me what to wear, when to eat, when to go to the bathroom, what words to say, how to style my hair. Like everything was for 10 years. We were just kind of led around, and it was hard to sort of define myself amidst all of that. So at the end of the show, I started the feeling of, whoa, who am I without that? And the thing that became very obvious for me was I'm a mom. Like I loved nothing more than being a mom. It was like, I know that it's my greatest purpose here. And I just did everything. I did everything, and I gave that my all. And then I had another baby, and then another baby, and it just became like 2 decades of hardcore momming. But so I didn't really I never thought like I need to separate myself from this character. I still don't feel that way. I've always been of the thinking that how could I turn my back on that character or that show, not be proud to talk about it, not love the energy that I get from the fans of the show. Like I'm just so proud and just like so grateful to have been a part of it.
Oh, absolutely, and I didn't get that feeling when you were answering. The one thing that really stood out to me was, being told when to eat, go to the bathroom, comb your hair. That's separating. You were able to do that, but you also had bigger priorities.
I didn't know where to go to the bathroom.
I can do that. It's right over there. Go in 3 minutes. All right, anyway. Wow. That must have been. My first reaction like that must have been hard, right?
I mean, it was a unique experience for sure. It wasn't hard in the moment because we were all caught up and lived in this bubble, and that's what life was for us for those 10 years. And we all loved our jobs, so we did them to the best of our abilities, every one of us.
Well, hard, I'm saying like when you weren't doing that anymore.
When it wasn't, yeah, it was definitely like switching gears.
Yeah,
big time.
Because we're humans, we're creatures of habits. I like to eat the same things, watch the same shows, whatever. But then when something happens like that, that's gotta be like shocking, like a shocking system.
I always say thank goodness I had my daughter because she kept me grounded. She kept me like having a purpose, and I didn't think much about what's next or what's not next. I just continued forward being a mom.
Well, I think a lot of people can relate to that, right? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we lose ourselves, I think, sometimes in the role of motherhood or being a parent for the dads out there. Like, it is all consuming. Being a parent is really hard work. It's the hardest job I've ever done. Going to work is like a vacation. You leave the kids, right? And so, round of applause for all the parents out here. You guys are awesome. You're doing great work.
If you could go back and talk to yourself during those early years of 90210, what would you say to her?
Oh my God, so much. I feel like that was a girl that was really thrown into the deep end with no idea how to swim. So it was really survival of the fittest in my mind, that experience. I'm from the Midwest. I grew up on a farm. I rode a horse and my dirt bike around, and then I landed in Hollywood very quickly. And so I had no idea what I was dealing with in those sort of shark-infested waters. And it was the 90s, so there were no checks and balances. There was nobody protecting us, nobody guiding us. We were just thrown into it. And that was really hard, actually. And I lost sight of myself at times. or my, just moral upbringings. I lost sight of, the big picture of life. It was also like just minuscule into the moment that was happening at that time. And I say now, looking back on that, I feel like I've always been about 10 years behind people my age, like developmentally, whether that's a mental or emotional well-being. I lost 10 years of like hardcore development, when you graduate high school and then you go to college and you grow up. Well, that was just not normal for me and for our cast.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's one thing I'm curious about is, what do you think people misunderstood most about you like during that time in your life on Mama's Corner?
I think that people thought I was like my character, but I had never even met a girl from Beverly Hills when I started playing Kelly Taylor. I didn't know anybody that had a nose job. I didn't know anybody that drove a convertible BMW. I was legit making it up, everything. That's the cool part about being an actor. Yeah, like you get. I love acting for that reason, because you get to step out of your life and into the shoes of somebody else, and it's so like, intoxicating that I fell in love with acting there, and it was fun, like just pretending to be someone else. And Kelly went through a lot of things on those 10 years. So look, she was shot, raped, stalked, burned, diet pills, cocaine. Right?
Superhero. Survived. Look, I got a paper cut. I'm like, yeah. I'm always like, well, I got sick time. I gotta go home now.
I know, but it was like crazy, because as a young girl developing into a grown-up, I was experiencing all of those things that my character was having to experience, and I didn't really know how to separate my emotions or how they sort of settled and landed inside of me, the person. So I really realized, yeah, that was a character, but all of that emotional weight I carried around far more than I should have at such a young age.
And that actually connects, really well with something you explore in the book. Do you think growing up in the spotlight made it harder to learn how to choose yourself?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think we all probably struggle with the different roles we play in our lives, or how we feel like we need to show up for other people, whether it's at work, you're fulfilling your job, whether you're parenting, you're being a mom or a dad, if you're being a spouse, a partner, a girlfriend, we play roles in our lives. And I think that when you reach a certain age, you start to sort of look back at your life and think about all the things that you've been through personally, whether there were the highs or the lows, and really start to sort of get very self-reflective and accountable for how you showed up, the choices that you made, the mistakes that you made. You think about, how could I have done that differently? How would I do that now if I could go back and do it again? And I would tell, young Jennie that she shouldn't believe every stupid thing she thinks, because I still am the queen of self-doubt, negative voices in my head, telling me I'm not good enough, telling me if I am not this for someone else, then what am I? And this is something I think that's so universal to all of us. We really have these innate, habitual thoughts of not being enough, or not even knowing who we are, and not knowing why we're here, what this whole life experience is all about. And so I was able to really get self-reflective and look at all those ups and downs in my life, and pinpoint certain things that I could see where I had grown, where I had seen self-growth, and areas where I found myself not seeing myself grow, and acting in ways that who was I to act certain ways, you know? But I think we can all see that when we're young and naive, and we don't know what we're doing. This, as humans, none of us really know what we're doing. We're all making this up as we go. So it was just really interesting as I wrote the book to really get contemplative and to think about where I've been in order to kind of figure out where I am, in order to figure out what I want to become. So it was just that kind of intense self-growth and that journey of, you know, learning to love myself.
I mean, I think that's wonderful. I mean, just think, right? It's like, I relate, I struggle with that. I still have self-doubt, right? I'm using I a lot right there, I understand. But my point is, like, I totally relate to that. And just to see that, how, you know, she broke it down, where she is growing. I think that's powerful. That's honestly, like, just, because like, I'm the king of, for myself, like, you can ask my what I've lost. I'm always like, I didn't think 20 people were gonna show up tonight. Like, you know, I always have fears, like, did I do it wrong? And I made mistakes tonight, right? Like, this is our first real big author event. Oh yeah, by the way, this is the largest library event we've ever done. And you got it, right? So, yeah, mistakes happen, and you also think back yourself, and you can internalize, and like, I can relate to that. So,
Some of my greatest work was to stop pointing the finger at other people for my disappointments or for, you know, things that I was pissed about, and to stop pointing the finger and start pulling the thumb. Because we can walk around blaming everybody else for our problems and who did this to me, and I'm gonna walk around a victim for the rest of my life. Or we can start pulling the thumb and look at our part in things. And when we get introspective like that and think about our own accountability in our life's choices, then it gives us this new power to sort of reclaim who we are and who we want to be moving forward. And it's really been so important for me.
That's great. I mean, that literally needs to be on a t-shirt. Maybe it is on a t-shirt, but stop pointing the finger, start pulling the thumb, I choose me. You know, or whatever, or something, you know? Yeah, there you go. You're welcome, that was free. All right, so you write about your trip to Bali. What shifted for you during that experience?
Well, that was crazy. Like, one day I was in therapy with this woman, and she told me, oh, we're going to Bali tomorrow. I have an open room if you want to come. I said yes, which was weird for me because I'm not a person that likes to join groups or be, you know, in a group of ladies. Like, at that point in my life, I had never done that. I didn't have a ton of girlfriends or girls' night out or anything like that. It was a very sort of isolated experience just from my upbringing and from protecting myself from the world. Essentially, I walked around with my eyes down and not really engaging with people, and carrying around something, feeling like, wow, I feel so different. I'm so different than everybody else. And also thinking, oh my God, everybody looks so joyous. Like, that person's happy. I want to be happy. And I could not figure out how to be happy. And I got more and more down on myself because I couldn't find joy in myself. And I was really seeking. That was a time when I started saying yes to things because I knew every experience would bring me some learned life lessons and some tool to put in my toolkit about how to feel joy or happiness like everyone was experiencing. So when I went to Bali, that was like an impulse decision, and it was incredible. I write about it in the book. Like, we went to temples, we went to healers. So driving up into these, like, the real deal villages of the people who live there, and going around to the back of the house, and they had erected this, like, you know, makeshift shrine that this man sits on all day, every day, and the villagers or whoever around the area come to him and say, you know, give them their problems or their whatever it is that they need help with, whether it's their fields, their crops, their animals, their children, whatever, and he would heal people. And the lady lay down in front of him, and I don't know what he did, you guys. I really have no idea, but I felt something shift. And so I walked away thinking, I'm the same, but I feel a little bit different. And then bringing myself back to LA, you know, and then I did another trip. I went to San Miguel de Allende for the same kind of experience, and those shifts started to sort of accumulate. And then just working, I did a lot of work personally with, I started going to Buddhist classes. I'm not a Buddhist, I'm not Catholic, I'm not Christian. I don't really associate with any one specific religion. I just kind of love to take all the things that I love about each and pull them together into who I want to be. But through through all that work, and especially the Buddhist teachings, like, my life just changed. I became less reactive. I became more grounded, more intentional about things, and it wasn't like an overnight process, like a switch. It was like a long, undoing of all the things that I learned, and then a relearning of the things that I wanted to carry around. I wanted to embody moving forward.
Oh, thank you. And you know what? That kind of awareness that you just ultimately were talking about shows up in our relationships. And looking back now, what did your relationships teach you about yourself that you didn't see at that time?
I mean, can you imagine all your relationships, like what you've learned about yourself, what you learn, what you do want, what you don't want? Yeah, it's really.
That's the biggest one I learned.
Yeah, what you
What I
don't
don't
want.
want. And then I found my wife, and I was like, that's what I want. You know, but maybe like with your friends too. What you don't want is as you get older. That's the best advice you can give a younger person.
Yeah, in my therapy, I did like a list of non-negotiables, because my marriage had ended. I was pretty much devastated beyond belief. My daughters were being taken away from me every other week for a full week, and I would just lose control on the week off, and I started to, not take the best care of myself, and get really, really lost during those times. But I did learn during that process, thinking, someday I might have to date again. I don't know how to do that. But I made a list of my non-negotiables, because I had been learning what I didn't want in a relationship, so that I didn't want to repeat, because we do that so much. We pick the wrong guy over and over and over. But I learned what I didn't want and made a list of my non-negotiables, and that's how I kind of moved forward with dating. And when people didn't really check off enough of those boxes, I would just not waste my time.
My buddies thought I was weird when I did that. I was in a hard relationship, and I was sad but happy to get out of it. She was crazy. But the point is, I knew what I didn't want. And they looked at me but then, you know what, I won in the end, right?
Right.
But it's
Because you got clear.
Yeah.
About what's important to you.
Right, because you get hurt, and it all, it's gonna be cheesy, but I choose me. That was the biggest thing. I had check boxes, and if she didn't meet those check boxes, and I gave myself 3 months. 3 months, because I figured by that time a person would start falling in love with me. That's the time where I need to cut them off.
So good.
That's true, right? That's emotionally when you're around somebody. It's usually that 3 months, and then you go, all right,
Yeah, it's the honeymoon phase is over.
It's to a certain extent, right?
Right.
But no, I relate to that. That makes so much sense to me, And I do that with relationships. I do it with work. I do it with everything. So
You know the 80-20 rule, though, right?
the save or no? What's
The 80-20, in a marriage, if you're 80% happy,
yeah.
you're good.
Oh, then I'm doing that. So that's good.
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna check all your boxes.
Yeah. You know what? I don't die on certain hills. That's what I learned. If my wife tells me to do something, I just go, all right.
Okay.
Unless I'm no, the Yankees are on, or something, Well, no, she knows when the Giants are on football Sunday, I'm not going to the pumpkin patch. But I stated that when we first started dating.
Yeah, because you knew yourself.
Yeah.
You have to know yourself.
It's all
to be in a
negotiation,
relationship.
but it also is, you do know yourself, you do, so anyway, that really, that resonated with me.
I'm winning right here, right now.
Jennie Garth is winning. So you talked a lot about boundaries. What was the hardest boundary for you to actually set and stick to?
My I'm not good with boundaries. Like my daughters just steal my clothes, and I'm like, okay, it looks great on you. But I mean, boundaries for me were more about personal boundaries. Like I set a boundary within myself that I was done being self-indulgent. So when I talk about being self-indulgent, that meant like drowning my woes with alcohol, numbing myself out with pills, doing things that were momentary relief, but in the long run were not good for me and certainly not good for my daughters. So I set boundaries with myself first, and that makes that when you have boundaries with yourself and you know what you will and won't accept from your own behavior, but from other people's behavior, you now walk around with this incredible sense of self, and boundaries just kind of make themselves moving forward because you walk through life clear about who you are and what you will accept and what you won't. So that's the boundary work I did.
That's great. I mean, that's hard. Again, you can relate that, but also some good lessons. It seems like this book's going to give some good lessons. So.
Yeah, this is a self-help book disguised as a memoir. Because what I said to the people that asked me to write the book, I said, okay, but I want it to be a self-help book because I love self-help books. And I've read every one of them, I think. And they said, no, actually, I don't think you're quite credited to write a self-help book. So I said, oh, okay. I'll add some personal stories, and it'll be a memoir. But it's really a self-help book. Actually, it's on the list for advice, like in the advice column. It's like, I'm on the same best-selling list as Mel Robbins, you guys. This is like my party, by the way. This is like my big list party. Right. We're having tonight.
Mel Robbins and Jennie Garth. So that's awesome. This is that. I mean, like, it's a big deal to be on the New York Times bestseller list. Like, it's a big deal, right? So that's awesome. That's great. People like you. People like you.
I'm so happy. Even though I don't live my life by other people's approval any longer, which is something I worked through in the book, it feels good to be liked and appreciated and supported. Like, it feels good.
Well, longevity. The show was 30 years ago. Your career. Sorry, what?
36 years. I know. Okay.
36. Okay, so 36 years ago, right? And everybody's here. Like, wow, like I can't even imagine like having friends for that long. I mean, I do, but like people just hey, I'm gonna still hang out with you 36 years from now.
I know, it's wild. We have had the most incredible fans from the OG show, and my people that have followed me on different ventures in my career. Like, I would not be who I am without all of you supporting me.
So, one idea I found really interesting. Can you explain the Will See method and how it helps you let go of control?
Yes, well, we worry a lot. I worry, I ruminate about things, I stress about things, I do that a lot, and it's exhausting. And I just kind of didn't want to do it anymore, so I started to learn about releasing the grip on knowing things and releasing the sort of attachment to control. Because the fact of the matter is, and I know, we have no control. We don't know if we're gonna wake up tomorrow. This could be our last day here. And I think coming to that understanding and acceptance of that gives you just a whole new level of appreciation for every single day that you get to wake up and be here. I know with loss in my life, especially with close loved ones, I've learned that over and over. So the Will See was introduced to me by a man named Wade Davis, and he would see how bent I would get on certain things and how the stress was all over me, you could see it. He'd be like, okay, let's just sit back for a second and let's just say to ourselves, we'll see. We'll see if this new guy that I'm trying to date is gonna work out. We'll see if I get another job. We'll see if all of my worries and concerns. Just give it the will see, and that kind of like sets you back. It gives you a broader perspective. You can look at things a little bit bigger picture instead of getting like just mired in the nitty gritty of concern and worry. And for me, that was just like so helpful. I say it all the time. Whenever there's something that I'm unsure of or an opportunity comes my way and I don't know if it's gonna happen or maybe it'll happen, like this book, I thought I'll write this book and we'll see how it's received. Like in anything in your life, whatever you want to do, just try it, because the worst that can happen is nothing. Like you move on to the next thing, but just give yourself that freedom of saying like, we'll see. Like, I don't need to stress out about every single little thing. And it's very freeing. And it feels much better than being worried.
Absolutely, right? Letting go of the control. And again, relatable, as I've gotten older, now I'm gonna really focus on the we'll see method. I mean, it's the control of like, will people show up? Will we do this? Will she like me? Whatever it is. And you know what? It's like,
it stops the flow of energy.
But I'm envious of people. I've known people that they would just shake their shoulders like, we'll see what happens, whatever. And I'm just like, I don't know how you do that. Like, I'm just like, I need to control everything to a certain extent.
Yeah. I mean, what's the point of you controlling things though? Like, what's that getting you?
I happen, I'm kidding. My own way. No, but anyway, but you're right, because in the end, you honestly don't have control over it. That's sage advice, Jennie Garth. All right, so I want to end on something for everyone here. For someone in this room who feels stuck, what's one small way they can start choosing themselves?
People say, you've heard this before, you cannot truly love someone else until you love yourself. Yeah. I would hear that and roll my eyes and be like, well, okay. I love myself, like, I get it, but I didn't. I had no idea. It wasn't until I really started getting like very introspective and wanting my life to change so badly. I started looking in the mirror, not just looking at myself, looking into my eyes, and really sitting with what was looking back at me. It had nothing to do with my physical appearance. It had everything to do with the way I felt connected with whoever it was looking back at me. And I got more and more interested in that. And I started to really identify the little person in me, the little girl inside of me, who was there from the beginning, who I kind of abandoned around age 5, because 5, 6, that's what girls do. They learn the tough lessons and they start to abandon themselves and try to be what someone else wants them to be or expects them to be. And I went back to that little girl and I did this visualization work on my own where like I imagined myself hugging her and looking at her and holding her hand and feeling like how scared she was. This whole big life that we've lived, she's terrified. And I think that applies to everybody I've ever talked to about it, because when you connect with that little person in you, whether you still feel like that person or recognize that little guy or girl, they are definitely inside of you and they want to be taken care of. And they want to be assured that everything's going to be okay. So I feel like that really got me in touch with like the greatest love affair of my life, which is the love affair of myself. And when I fully figured out like I am so worth loving and I need to feel that kind of unconditional love from myself, not from anybody else, that is when everything shifted in my life. And that is when like I clawed myself out of chasing joy to actually experiencing joy. So I always recommend to anybody that's like facing a transition in their life, a loss, maybe as a job or a friend or a parent, that's the moment when you need to go back to yourself the most, because you're born alone pretty much, you know. But you really experience all the days of your life alone. Nobody's been with you from minute one to now. It's changed, right? And then guess what? We die alone. Like, it's just us. We've got only us. So I said to myself, I got you. Like, I feel like I have a best friend in myself now, and I have like this just love, like I would my own kids. Like, I would love them until like my last breath, and encourage them and support them and protect them. And that's how I feel about me now. And that's why this book is called I Choose Me. And that's the whole point of the book, is helping you to choose yourselves fully and understand the freedom that will bring you in your life.
Wow, so that's so important. You're choosing yourself. Exactly what you said. You're there for you. That's the most important thing. Thank you so much. We want to thank Jennie for being here tonight, but before we go, we have a couple of audience Q&As. Are you okay? All right, so we had everyone write down their questions, and we chose 5. Whoa, okay. All right, so this one's from Veronica H. Veronica H, right? She wanted to know, Kelly, why did you steal Dylan from
Valid question. Okay.
All right, that was a joke. That wasn't one of the questions. Nobody wants an answer.
You want an answer? I was reading the lines on the script. I had nothing to do with it. I just did my job, and people across the world hate me for it. But that's the cross I'll have to carry.
So that was the joke. My boss came up with that. I'm just kidding. I'm not there. She came up with that question like months ago.
I get it. She broke the code. She broke the friend code. All the codes. But I was doing my JOB, you guys.
All right. So the real questions. All right. Brandy Serrano. All right. Hi, Brandy. Right. What made you want to write a book?
Maybe my parents are teachers. And they had just a huge all of you. I love it. You guys are the heroes. You should be up here with my I love sharing what I've learned with other people. That's one of the reasons I love being a mom so much, is getting to guide them and teach them so that they can go out and live these beautiful, independent lives. So it's just sort of in my genes to want to share what I know. And I didn't know anything for a long time in my life. And I did a lot of work, and I felt like this has changed me so much, I wanted to share it with people. And that is why I wrote a book.
This next question is from Amber Fish.
Amber?
There you are. All right, great. In your book, you talk about asking yourself, how would that make me feel if no one showed up? We are in a small city, and you filled a room. How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel so happy to know that, you guys, after all these years, you're still with me. And I feel so loved and supported, and I would love to reciprocate that for all of you. Like, I'm going to sign your books and do all that I can to make you all feel like you are a part of this, because you are.
Next question is from Wendy Mello.
She's got to go to camera.
Oh, okay. Sure.
You got it?
I was like, did she go home? Wendy left. All right. What do you hope readers who are going through a hard time take away from your story?
Well, I shared the darkest points of my life, my story, in this book, not to sensationalize them, not to throw anybody under any buses, not to, defame anyone. I really wanted to be honest. I wanted to stop carrying around shame for the mistakes that I have made in my life, the times that I could have been better. Or the times when life just got a hold of me and pulled me down. And I wanted to share those stories because I know that we are all going through our own versions of life's experiences, not just the good ones, but also the bad ones. And I know that because I've been that. I like I said, I'm a Midwestern girl. I'm as normal as it gets. And just because my life looks a certain way, or I've stumbled into this role and got so fortunate with my life, found like my love of acting, all of that, like you and I are experiencing all the same things. We are all just humans here trying to figure out this wild human experience with no instruction manuals, nobody really guiding us except ourselves. And so I hope that everybody who reads the book feels less alone on their journey, because I know what it feels like to feel alone and to isolate. And that is what I want for everybody, and that's why I wrote it, because it sucks to feel alone. I've been there, and I don't want you to all, we don't need to live like that anymore. We can share our stories and uplift one another and feel each other's joy, and that in turn makes us feel joy. Like it's, we're all here just trying to figure it out together. Why would I pretend that I have my shit together when I don't?
If we were in the library, I'd say language.
We're in the women's center. We say whatever the fuck we want.
Shit.
Let it fly. Come on.
No, I have a terrible time. I'm a former employee of the library in the city, so it's okay. All right, so this next question's from Carolyn.
Carolyn, hi.
All right, unless there's more than one Carolyn. All right, you've been in the industry for a while. Is that you, Carolyn? Yeah, perfect. Okay, you've been in the industry for a while, but is there anyone you fangirled over when you met them? Anyone you'd love to work with in the future?
Every time I meet a famous person, I'm like, oh my God. I get really excited. I don't like to hang out with famous people because I think I act weird around them. No, it just feels like I remember when I met, I don't even know if I'm so old, the guy from MASH. Do you guys heard of that show?
Number one show of all time.
Yeah, the guy.
IGN, number one rated show of all time.
Which guy was it? Alan Alda. Yeah, that's the guy. And John Ritter, when I met John Ritter. I'll never forget that. John Ritter was so funny. I was there and he could tell I had those weird fan eyes. And he started doing physical comedy just for me in this green room, and he ran into the door and fell over. And I was just like, oh my God, my life is complete right now.
He's totally Jack Tripper.
He is. He was.
That's cool. All right, Sarah Saeed Ali.
Hey, Sarah.
Where are you?
She does not want to be.
Okay, that's all right. Yeah, you're right. I shouldn't do that.
Okay.
But I did want to point out, you have some of the nicest penmanship I've ever seen in my life.
I can't see anything.
Yeah, I just started wearing glasses. No, it's terrible. I don't know how people did it for all this time. Anyway, all right, so Jennie, I am opening a home for pregnant women. What advice would you give for someone who wants to be a force for good in this world?
Well, congratulations. And that is amazing, wherever you are.
Super sweet lady. She
Oh.
went around asking us if we wanted sunscreen. She brought extra chairs. If we wanted anything to touch. She was super sweet. Super sweetest lady.
And there's an angel on earth right there.
Right.
And you will meet angels on earth all the time. The more you're open to meeting them, the more you'll meet. The signs you'll get, when you see 1111, I see 757 every day, twice a day. You gotta listen to the signs. Nothing is, what's this word? Coincidence. Nothing is coincidence. And I fully believe that. And I believe that I have angels watching over me, my family, every time I get on an airplane, I am terrified, but I ask my angels to just get me where I need to go safely. Sarah, you're already doing it. You are living You are living proof that when we listen to what is deep inside of us and what we know is important and we act on it, that is like just an angel on earth. Like, congrats, you're already doing it, wherever you are. The only thing I would say, and this isn't just for Sarah, but this is for anybody that's doing anything in their life, be authentic to who you are. Because there is nobody else out there like you. Not one single person. Even when you look on Instagram and you see all these people that you know that are having all these great moments in their life and living their best life and curating what they want you to see, there is nobody like you. And there is no stopping to what you can do when you set your mind to it.
Jennie, thank you so much for being here tonight and sharing your story so openly with all of us. And I think so many people in this room can see themselves in your journey. I jumped in a couple times, but people, you can relate to it, right? And that's the most important thing when you're building relationships or just trying to, you want to read a book. You can relate to it, but then also you want to better yourself, right? So, and we really appreciate your honesty. You had a lot of honesty tonight. And again, let's give Jennie another. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have Jennie. Jennie's gonna go to the book signing area. We're gonna get settled first. So everybody that is up front here, you guys are all gonna get first dibs here to meet Jennie. Get to pick the book. Everyone else, we're gonna line up. She's gonna do her best to meet everyone tonight. So just be patient, and we're gonna make it happen.